1996 was the year that ended Damon Hill's quest to become World Formula One champion. After the championship, a new challenge for 1997, taking the number one to Arrows. The switch to Arrows came to many as a surprise, Damon citing Tom Walkinshaw's excellent new facilities as the deciding factor. By the time the car was ready for its first run, the daylight had gone.
He says he can see he knows his way around here with his eyes closed.
Walkinshaw was keen to show his new driver's vision.
Very difficult to get an impression because it was dark, but the car ran around the circuit fine, and we went through the gears and everything was perfect, and that's all they needed to do was to make sure that the car would run.
Practically a whole new team. The Arrows chassis now teamed with a Yamaha engine. And an exuberant Damon Hill hoping to give arch-rival Michael Schumacher a run for his money in 1997 with the help of new partner Pedro Diniz.
Well, I think we'll be doing very well if we get in the top three.
For Arrows, a year of exploration and discovery ahead. Much at Williams remains the same, Jacques Villeneuve being partnered by new Williams signing Heinz-Harald. The new car, a logical development of last year's successful chassis, still with a Renault V10 engine that has brought the team so much success.
I hope I will be ready and know every screw at the car when the season starts.
For Frentzen, a new team. For Villeneuve, a new start as team number one.
Oh, in Barcelona, out of the box it was great. The car was very quick, drivable, and the new weight distribution allowed us to be on the edge and to slide a little bit without it creating any problems.
Williams starts 1997 knowing it will be the last year with factory-supplied Renault engines, who will undoubtedly use their huge resources to go out with a success. Ferrari have unquestionably the best driver in Formula One at the moment in Michael Schumacher, and an increasingly strong management team. Their John Barnard-designed car looks good even through the snow, but it's against the clock that will matter. As Ferrari have found in the past, testing is very different from racing. John Barnard's design team is strengthened by the arrival of ex-Benetton man Ross Brawn. Michael's 1997 teammate, Irishman Eddie Irvine, has shared in the new car's teething problems.
This year, I think, is going to be a good year. We're getting the car early, as you see, and I'm going to be doing a lot of testing, going into the first race with a chance.
It handles all right. We have some understeer which we have to solve. And we had an engine problem like yesterday, and even maybe today.
Ferrari's test program aimed at producing a car that is reliable and fast. Not always possible during the months leading up to the season's first race. Gerhard Berger remains at Benetton. Berger and test driver Alex Wirtz have the task of sorting out the new car. Winter testing showing the promise that the team need to return to their winning ways. Gerhard losing none of his speed and looking forward to a good year, the new car showing promise as well.
It's difficult to say how competitive we are. It seems that we are quite quick.
Berger's teammate for 1997 will again be Jean Alesi.
Our new car is getting much better because we are doing a lot of miles now. We know our good and bad things.
McLaren hit the tracks with a new car and a stunning new colour scheme. A return to the racing silver of Mercedes-Benz. A huge star-studded launch introduced the driver lineup of David Coulthard and Mika Hakkinen, who was first to drive the car.
We've been testing quite a few days already, and the feeling is amazing. It's really good.
Testing had been conducted with the cars painted in the traditional McLaren orange of the late 1960s. The car and engine impressing both Hakkinen and Coulthard.
I think it feels pretty encouraging. The drivability of the engine, which was the only weak link in the Mercedes last year, feels better. So if we have that and the good top end, we're in good shape. And I think the balance of the car feels a little bit more forgiving. It's still early days, so we have to continue to develop, but I think so far so good.
The Jordan team tested with Nigel Mansell, 1992 world champion, who showed he'd lost none of his flair.
I'm frozen, I am, so I'm going to go and warm up a little bit.
Ralph Schumacher impressed Eddie Jordan, who teamed him with Italian Giancarlo Fisichella. Gary Anderson's latest design, keeping the tradition of an effective car.
The new car is working like we hoped or like we expected it, which means that aerodynamically and mechanically we did quite a big step.
Development work was putting Jordan in a challenging position.
I think we have a quite competitive car to fight with the top 4 teams.
One doesn't expect to see a Grand Prix car in Casino Square, Monaco during the winter, although drivers such as Olivier Panis are a common sight all year round. Olivier was on hand to help unveil the new Ligier, along with new teammate Shinji Nakano. Panis then became the only driver to get some winter mileage on the street circuit, much to the surprise of the local population, not used to the sound of an F1 engine before spring. Testing proper showed promise despite the inevitable spins. The team looking to capitalise on last year's performance. Alain Prost finally concluded his negotiations to buy the team, the cars taking his name before the season starts. For Sauber, a year to take the next step and join the top flight, once they get their campaign started. Johnny Herbert's hopes are high for an improvement over last year. And new signing Nicola Larini will be keen to make an impression after a layoff from F1 racing. Grand Prix' off-season saga was the on-off deal for Sauber to use year-old Ferrari engines.
There's a big noticeable difference with the power. I think coming back here to Barcelona with the driving the car and remembering what we had last year, there's a big difference. So we have I think a big improvement.
Tyrrell's hope of a title sponsor still remains just that. But a lack of funds never has stopped the team producing good cars, albeit underpowered by some quite elderly V8 engines. Never afraid to be different, the team always tread an individual path. Designer Harvey Postlethwaite coming up with a different approach to front-wing aerodynamics, which should allow Jos Verstappen to demonstrate his undoubted talents, although probably not at the very front of the grid. Verstappen's teammate will be Mika Salo, whose talent will also be hard-pressed to drag the Tyrrell into a position above midfield. Italian team Minardi are still looking to make the break from the rear of the grid, with new investment from Benetton boss Flavio Briatore. Ukyo Katayama joins from Tyrrell, while test driver will be Tasso Marquez. Although underpowered, Minardi have built a good car, which should allow new boy Jarno Trulli to prove himself in his step up to a Formula 1 car.
I know that it's a very quick step, but anyway I show to everybody that I am able to drive Formula 1. Now I must show only if I am able to fight with the best.
A new car, a new team and a new tartan at the unveiling of the new Stewart Ford, bringing together Jan Magnussen and ex-F3000 driver Paul Stewart, and 3 times world champion Jackie Stewart. Magnussen will be teamed with the young but experienced Rubens Barrichello. He's encouraged by the new car's performance, but not its failures.
Stop, Rubens, stop! Stop!
Better during testing than in racing. After years of building cars for other teams, Eric Broadley finally enters a fully-fledged Grand Prix team. Italian Vincenzo Sospiri is upbeat.
I think we will have some small problem, I hope as small as possible.
Ex-Arrows driver Riccardo Rosset partners him in the team. Goodyear's tyre monopoly hasn't affected their advances in tyre technology, but the arrival of competition in the shape of Japanese manufacturing giant Bridgestone will unquestionably see both companies striving to be number 1 in the paddock and on the track. Testing has been very encouraging, with some remarkable wet weather performance. Without doubt, tyres will play a major part during the season. Bridgestone with Arrows, Prost, Minardi, Stewart and Lola. The rest on Goodyear. A new circuit for 1997, the A1 ring, home of the Austrian Grand Prix. Melbourne, Australia, and the start of the 1997 season shows Williams looking as strong as ever.
It went great, the car is very fast, and the new car is very drivable on the edge. You can get a little bit sideways and still catch it, mostly with the grip the tires have this year. And so that's a good thing. Because of the tires, I think you'll see a lot of battles on the racetrack because you can brake late, lock a wheel and still stay on the racetrack.
Race day and Happy Jacques takes up residence on pole, with teammate Frentzen a late arrival alongside on the front row. The usual grid discussions, meetings and perhaps some helpful advice from the locals. For Hill, a new office and a different end of the grid, with perhaps more time to plan his race. One warm-up lap and the 1997 Formula One World Championship will be underway. Not, though, for 96 champion Damon Hill. What appalling luck. His Arrows Yamaha unable even to complete the warm-up lap. Not the start he wanted to his season. Alesi looks ahead to the starting lights, as does Frentzen, as the 1997 Australian Grand Prix and World Championship gets underway. Schumacher's Ferrari being swamped by Herbert's Ferrari engine Sauber, with Irvine scorching up the inside very late on his brakes, squeezing Villeneuve across into the hapless Herbert.
As I came into the first corner, I could just see out the corner of my eye Jack was having a bit of trouble, and then I could see a red nose, which I believe was Eddie's.
Johnny was on the outside and I was on the inside, and suddenly into braking, Eddie just popped his wheel in there where the track was dirty and he couldn't turn, so he both took Johnny and myself out.
Irvine out himself with a mixture of tyre and suspension failure, less than a lap into the first race of the season. Frentzen seizes the opportunity in his first race for Williams, followed by Coulthard and Schumacher Sr., while Junior has to stop after just one lap. Verstappen's Tyrrell displaying some spectacular parking. Team boss Ken Tyrrell cannot fail to have seen it all. Fisichella outbraking himself and ending the Jordan team's interest in the race. Frentzen, one of the first to pit on lap 17, clearly indicating a two-stop strategy, which could fall into the hands of McLaren. Ron Dennis watchful as Coulthard takes over at the front from Schumacher's Ferrari. Hakkinen leading the Benetton twins of Alesi and Berger. Coulthard starting to lap back markers, Schumacher closer than ever. Both drivers making short work of the tail-enders on their way to their only pit stop of the race. Schumacher in first, the Ferrari crew well practiced in the Germans' tactical thinking. Michael exchanging a thumbs up, so everything looks a-okay. Coulthard has got to try to increase the gap before he stops, with just over 12 seconds to Heinz-Harald Frentzen. The Scottish cross on Coulthard's helmet coated with someone's oil. It's a quicker stop than Schumacher's, which should see the McLaren out in second behind Frentzen. Calls to Alesi for his stop have gone unanswered. Jean paying the price as he cruises to a halt. You don't need to lip read that. Jean now with time to think up an excuse perhaps. Frentzen goes past with nearly 19 seconds over Coulthard. The fastest lap of the race so far toward his second stop. The right rear wheel seems to be giving trouble, adding precious seconds. Heinz-Harald rejoins in a disappointing third. Schumacher's crew seems surprised that he's on his way in with only 8 laps left. Perhaps a miscalculation or equipment problem failed to give him enough fuel to finish the race. So the chase is on. Schumacher needs to catch Frentzen for second, Coulthard looking safe. On board with Frentzen, who goes off just as he changed down, maybe a selection problem or perhaps a leak. Coulthard opens his 97 account with 10 points, ending McLaren's drought and scoring Mercedes' first Grand Prix win for 42 years. Schumacher follows home second, with Hakkinen completing both McLaren and Mercedes' day with a fine third.
It was fantastic. This is actually a better feeling than when I won the first Grand Prix for Williams. One, because it was a little bit unexpected here at the first race, especially after I saw qualifying form of the Williams, and I guess I've got Eddie to thank for causing a bit of aggravation at the first corner.
So, after the first race of the season, the drivers' table reflects the top 6 finishes of the Grand Prix. Coulthard, top of the table with 10 points, a good start for McLaren. McLaren's Australian win, powered by a Mercedes engine, was the first for Mercedes-Benz since the black and white days of 1955, when the great Juan Manuel Fangio won at Monza, before the German manufacturer pulled out of racing. Jacques Villeneuve's Australian campaign was cut short by the attentions of Eddie Irvine and Johnny Herbert, lasting only as far as the first corner. The aerial view of the incident shows Irvine's Ferrari going for the inside line, forcing Villeneuve across the track and into Herbert. Both Villeneuve and Herbert were unable to continue, Irvine stopping shortly afterwards. Frenson's Australian race came to an end when his front left-hand carbon brake disc disintegrated as the German slowed for a corner, giving him no chance to bring his car under control and spinning out of the race, fortunately without making contact with the barrier. Williams had been hampered by excessive brake wear in both cars, but were unable to use bigger discs as their calipers were too narrow to accept them. Although rivals McLaren had managed to run bigger brakes in both cars with obvious success. This forced the Williams team to make 2 pit stops, allowing them to run their car lighter, putting less strain on the brakes, but still they suffered the Frenson failure. As a consequence of the tyre war, every team has encountered problems created by the extra grip of this year's tyres, which in turn has affected not only the handling of the cars, but their brakes, with drivers able to leave their braking later and later, with various results. Eric Broadley's dream of a Lola Formula 1 team evaporated in Brazil as funds from MasterCard failed to materialise. Round 2, Brazil, where the guarantee of sunshine and local drivers to support produces a Brazilian crowd as large and as enthusiastic as ever, each with their own reason to be here.
I think speed mostly.
I enjoy very much the velocity of the cars.
The problem is not the question, the problem is this.
She really doesn't know why she's here.
After qualifying, Villeneuve is on pole, Schumacher's a good second, and Berger, pushing his car to the limit, makes up the first 3 on the grid. Traction control quite obviously a thing of the past as they stream down to the first corner, leaving Barrichello's Stewart Ford stranded on the grid. Schumacher first to the corner while Villeneuve and his teammate use the grass. Fisichella touches the back of Hill's Arrows, which also takes a shortcut. Frenson finds the track again behind his teammate. The marshals are clearly unable to move the stricken Stewart, which brings out the red flag, stopping the race.
I think it was Fisichella who was actually spun by somebody, so I tried to keep away from him. Then Eddie hit me up the back again, which I don't blame him for because of all the other confusion.
The restart, fortunate for those involved as the teams get ready for Brazil Take 2. A new nose and wing for Hill and Villeneuve, while Irvine describes his flight to Jean Todt. The Ferrari mechanics caught out by the start of the warm-up lap. All eyes are on the start lights, Schumacher getting another flyer from second on the grid, and Minardi having a go at missing the start, Katayama left standing. Villeneuve learning the lessons of the first start, more cautious this time, no one needing to use the grass as they all go through. Jacques pipping Michael for first just before the end of lap 1, judging the move to perfection into turn 1. Perhaps a fault with the German's car slowing him down, allowing Berger to catch up only a few laps later, Schumacher braving it out around the outside. But on lap 8, Berger repeats Villeneuve's move to take second place. Deniz's out, removing some of the local interest. Barrichello's retirement completing the task. Berger in for one of his stops, the Benetton crew well rehearsed and very quick. The Williams pit ready for Jacques Villeneuve, eager to prove they're a match for any other team in the pit lane. A superb piece of teamwork, putting their man back on the track in second place. Schumacher also in for his stop, his crew making sure of the fuel after the problems of Australia. Villeneuve puts in the fastest lap of the race to capitalise on his quick stop. A change for Alain Prost, now a team owner, as his man Olivier Panis comes in. Again, a faultless stop, Panis with no visible problems. Quite the opposite for Irvine, suffering extreme discomfort. Hill and Schumacher reliving some moments from their past. Michael with a huge advantage this time as he overtakes on the inside with a lazy following through. Someone missing something quite important, that someone being Shinji Nakano, who may have damaged his rear suspension, his race possibly finished. Villeneuve on his way to his second pit stop of the day, scheduled for lap 45. The team descend on the car, all aware of their tasks. Out of the pits, having only lost one place, dropping to second behind Gerhard Berger. Michael Schumacher also into the pits for his last stop, and still apparently having a problem with his car, unable to match the pace of the race leaders. Berger comes into pit while Jacques Villeneuve retakes first, putting a firm grip on the race in the closing stages. A quick stop, but not enough for Berger. Ralf Schumacher just failing to make it to the pits. Panis up to a superb third place, undoubtedly the highest Bridgestone runner. The Benetton screens show their man Berger in second, but for how much longer? He's just 6 seconds behind Jacques Villeneuve, with Panis closing all the time. Gerhard, ever the gentleman, thanking the troubled Schumacher. A sad end for Hill's race as the Yamaha engine expires. So Jacques Villeneuve wins the Brazilian Grand Prix in front of his delighted team, Gerhard Berger and the impressive Panis third. A great result for Jacques.
Oh, it feels great. And the car was really strong until the second pit stop, and then somehow the tires had less grip. I don't know why, but you know, the car was quick enough to stay in front.
So Jacques Villeneuve takes his first win of 1997 with Gerhard Berger second and Olivier Panis in third place. Michael Schumacher came in fifth. Round 3 takes us to Buenos Aires for the Argentinian Grand Prix. Williams drivers Villeneuve and Frentzen occupy the first 2 places, the Canadian over half a second quicker for pole, with Panis a relaxed third. Frentzen very slow away on the warm-up lap, but makes up places to get back in second for the start. Panis keen to get the race underway as the lights go out for the start of the Argentinian Grand Prix. Panis appeared to get too much wheel spin and bangs wheels with Michael Schumacher, who got a great start. Olivier losing 3 places into the first corner. Schumacher touches the back of Barrichello's Stewart as the rest of the field try and find a clear path through. Barrichello and Schumacher out.
I'd like to look at the footage a bit more, but it just looked like a racing accident. I don't think anyone was particularly to blame, but pretty unfortunate.
Ferrari's Ross Brawn as rational as ever. A none too happy Michael Schumacher strides in. The lights go out on the pace car, which means at the end of the lap the race resumes with Jacques Villeneuve out in front, Frentzen second. But not for long, the German's unhappy season going from bad to worse. That's Ralf Schumacher around the outside of Hill, the new driver having no escape from the gaze of his team boss. Olivier Panis up to second place, only 1.5 seconds behind race leader Villeneuve. The gap getting smaller by the lap. Damon Hill has a long hard look at the inside of a lazy, who forgets to check his mirrors and collects the arrows. Well held by a lazy, but one would guess there may be words about that one later. Not to be Olivier's day either. After only 8 laps, the potential in this new team already very apparent. Villeneuve showing his hand, first in for the pit stops. Williams obviously going to stop twice. Only 7.5 seconds and a chance he might join in front of second place Eddie Irvine. Close close but successful. Eddie due in himself in a couple of laps, but still keen to pass Villeneuve before the Canadian's tyres are up to temperature. Irvine in. An efficient stop and out again in just 7.3 seconds. Is Eddie Jordan still watching Ralf Schumacher as he manages to take off his own teammate? Disbelief in the Jordan pit. While Barrichello's Stewart gives up on lap 24, young Ralph continues on his way, no doubt thinking what he should say to Eddie Jordan. More woe for 96 champion Damon Hill. The Jordan team giving Ralph the benefit of clear vision for his next move and a very quick stop. Villeneuve in for a second stop on lap 38, so possibly 3 stops for the Canadian, as his team get him back into the race in second. The Irishman well within his sights, but now with a group of Katayama, Herbert and Nakano between them. One less to get past as Herbert pits. A good stop, allowing him to rejoin in 4th place. Irvine pushing hard to try and increase the gap between himself and the Williams #1 before his own stop. It looks calm, but the pressure is on all of the team, and that longer stop indicates that Eddie could try and go to the end of the race. Villeneuve slightly lighter, but having to stop once more. Irvine stuck in traffic with Ralf Schumacher right behind, but having completed his pit stops. It could all rest on this last stop of Villeneuve's. Everything going to plan, and Jack returning to the track in the lead. The fight for 4th between Herbert, Hakkinen and Berger, with Berger setting the fastest lap of the race. The last stages of the race, Irvine right with Villeneuve, the crowd spurring them on, Patrick Head and Frank Williams powerless to do anything. Jack controlling the race from the front, Irvine there should he slip, with only just over 2 laps left. Sonia Irvine wills her brother on, but Jack Villeneuve wins to claim 10 more points, but a great drive from Eddie.
The team did a great job the whole weekend, but I think we chose the wrong tyres, and with the more rubber on the track towards the middle and the end of the race, we were picking a lot of understeer, and we were blistering the tyres, so it was very difficult to keep them behind, and well, they both really impressed me today.
In the corner before the back straight, he missed the line, and then he was too close to me, and I tried to overtake him, and I thought he made space, and he closed the door. Later I will speak to him.
The result of the Argentinian Grand Prix, a win for Villeneuve, Eddie Irvine 2nd and Ralf Schumacher a very happy 3rd. With 3 races gone, Villeneuve heads the championship with 20 points from Coulthard, Berger, Hakkinen, Michael Schumacher and Eddie Irvine. While Williams top the constructors' table by 1 point from McLaren, who had Ferrari, Benetton, Prost and Jordan leading into the next race. The big talking point from Argentina was once again tyres. Jacques Villeneuve opted for the harder of the 2 compounds without affecting his speed. Gerhard Berger's South American choice had been toward the softer option, but Williams was still on top. Michael Schumacher's problems with the Ferrari 310B have been traced to a lack of front-end grip, the car having to carry more front wings than most to combat understeer, with of course the penalty of more drag and less speed.
We have still a tendency of understeer in our car. That's something we're working very hard on to kill this.
Villeneuve's Argentine pole position was an event to celebrate as it marked the Williams team's 100th and the 125th for Renault since their first in South Africa in 1979, a surprise to Patrick Head.
I wasn't aware that that was up for grabs this weekend.
Since their success in Australia, McLaren have encountered a balance problem with the cars of both Coulthard and Hakkinen, causing both drivers some moments.
They just don't have the balanced front to rear. I've got a bit of understeer on entry and then some oversteer on exit. It's the type of corner, they're quite long, similar to Brazil. Where we have long corners, we tend to develop too much understeer with our car.
The Argentinian Grand Prix saw the 600th start of a Formula One race since the first of the modern era back in 1950 at Aintree. Rumours abound of a growing rift between Jordan's Giancarlo Fisichella and Ralf Schumacher, Eddie Jordan taking up the role of peacemaker within his own team. San Marino, the fourth race of the 1997 season, and Eddie Jordan's face sums up the pre-race morning warm-up, the track soaked by heavy rain. Minutes before the race, the track is drying or being dried, every driver opting to start on slick tyres. Villeneuve leads the field around on the warm-up lap, without the luckless Damon Hill, forced to start from the pit lane for the second race running. Frentzen needs a good performance here at Imola to get his season back on the right track, at last having no troubles either in the warm-up or on the grid. Michael Schumacher slots in ahead of Frentzen, both Jordans right up there in the thick of things. Frentzen very close to Schumacher, having a quick look, the Ferrari closing the door. Heinz-Harald the meat in a Schumacher sandwich, with Ralf right behind him in fourth place. Herbert and Panis completing the top six. Dane Jan Magnussen finding one of the many damp patches to spin out on. Jacques Villeneuve leads Michael Schumacher. Berger goes for a spin and out of the race. A disappointing end to his 200th Grand Prix. Frentzen taking another look at passing Schumacher. These one-time Mercedes sports car teammates should really know each other's tricks by now. Hill making up a lot of ground, goes to pass Nakano. The two touch, both drivers race over. Nakano looking surprised that Hill was there.
I caught him up like, 3/6 a lap quicker than him, and then he just is blocking me for a lap, so, and I was pretty cheesed off after starting from the pit lane as well, to be honest.
Damon putting it very politely, a good drive over. Riding with Eddie Irvine as he closes on Olivier Panis, who is steadily dropping back. Fisichella going through as well. Thoughtful faces in the Prost pit. Ralf Schumacher's day's work is done, straight into the garage, and a walk home for Johnny Herbert. Jacques Villeneuve with a clear track in front. Frentzen still staring down Schumacher's exhaust pipes. Michael with time to thank Pedro Diniz, who leaves the door open for Heinz-Harald to follow through. Schumacher into the pits for the first of his two planned stops. A little extra time needed to get enough fuel on board, but still away in a shade over 9 seconds. Villeneuve right on the mark for his stop, his crew setting about the four wheels and refuelling. But away a little slower than Schumacher, rejoining behind the Ferrari of Eddie Irvine. Frentzen also in for the first of his two planned stops. Leaving the pit and rejoining ahead of Schumacher in first place. Irvine getting very out of shape behind Coulthard. It could be oil, the McLaren smoking. Indeed, the Mercedes engine letting go right in front of Fisichella. It's not all smiles in the Williams garage either.
That's got a problem with gear down. I'm not sure whether it's the paddle or what. Yeah.
So Villeneuve in again to have 5 wheels changed, although it seems only 4 already. The levers there behind the wheel for gear changing, causing Jacques some kind of problem. Possibly stuck in gear, all is definitely not well, a needed win slipping away. Jacques signalling that the car is stuck in third. It's all over for this race.
We've had a very strong car all weekend, and it's very hard to not get any points like that.
So for the first time this year, it's all down to Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the Williams. His last stop with 19 laps to go, with Michael Schumacher due in for his stop any second. No sign of the Ferrari yet, but Frentzen away in a good second. There's Michael having a bit of trouble with Marino's Sauber. Schumacher already at his pit marks, awaiting fuel and tyres. A superb stop, just 6.9 seconds. Schumacher just 4.8 seconds behind Frentzen into the last few laps. Irvine pits for his last tyre change. A dash of fuel and another brilliant Ferrari stop of just 7.4 seconds. Frentzen leads, Schumacher close behind, but Frentzen has done enough for his first win and an elated Williams pit wall. The two Ferraris are second and third, but the day belongs to Frentzen.
To this difficult start in this season, it is very much like oil on my soul.
Frentzen scores his first maximum 10 points from Michael Schumacher, with Eddie Irvine third. Villeneuve and Frentzen were in trouble in Imola for failing to slow down when passing Meccano's broken car under a yellow flag. Meanwhile, at Arrows, Frank Derny departs to make way for new arrival John Barnard, fresh from his departure from Italian giant Ferrari. On to round 5, Monaco, Sun Trap of the South, but not this weekend. The most charismatic Grand Prix of the year, but the weather is a big concern.
Yeah, I think it's dry. This is Monte Carlo. We want there's white lines, there's all sorts of hazards here that can catch you out in the wet, so dry is better.
Dry might be better, but wet is what it is. Michael Schumacher, as always, hedging his bets with a change of car, with very little time before the race.
10 minutes.
Both Williams drivers will start the race on dry weather slicks, a brave decision with black clouds overhead. Frentzen on pole from Schumacher's Ferrari, Villeneuve's Williams in third on a very damp track. The lights go out with Frentzen and Villeneuve struggling to get any grip. Schumacher and Fisichella powering past towards Saint-Devote. With Ralf Schumacher in the second, Jordan right under the rear wing of Frentzen. On up the hill towards Casino, fighting wheel spin on wet weather tyres. One can only imagine what the Williams pair have got to contend with. Michael Schumacher already well clear of the second place driver Giancarlo Fisichella, who is 6 seconds behind. Ralf Schumacher has passed Frentzen for third. Coulthard causing problems, especially for teammate Häkkinen. McLaren's interest in the race gone already. A lazy over the curves. In the mayhem, Hill's car is yet another retirement. No such problems for Michael Schumacher, who has so often proved a master in these sort of conditions. A replay of the different fortunes of Irvine and Villeneuve, who must change to wet weather tyres soon. Indeed, activity in the Williams pit. No surprises, a lost opportunity for the Williams team, Jacques with too much work to do on a track not known for overtaking. Barrichello proving the exception as Ralf Schumacher gets very crossed up at Lowe's hairpin. Häkkinen and Coulthard with expressions that say it all. What can it have been like?
Pretty bad, to be honest.
Short but accurate. Schumacher's Ferrari lapping Frentzen, making it all seem so easy, even in these conditions. Frentzen taking the hint, giving up the unequal struggle and changing to wet weather tyres. Much has been made of the performance of the Bridgestone wet tyres over winter testing. Barrichello certainly seems to have some advantage. Schumacher glorious to watch. Jordan takes Jordan, while Berger grabs a handful of understeer. Riding with Ralf Schumacher, who slides into the barrier at Casino Square. A disappointed team boss Eddie Jordan watching the same pictures. Schumacher with nearly 30 seconds over the outstanding Barrichello. Obviously making the most of the Stewart superb handling, pushing as hard as he can. Villeneuve still struggling, plainly unhappy with the car, which could be damaged after that contact. A lazy sliding toward Portier, the back end gracefully overtaking the front. Villeneuve pits after his contact with the barrier, out of the car and out of the race. One of those things?
I was trying to change the brake bias down the straight line, and I got sideways and touched the guardrail and bent the rear end of the car.
All over for Jacques, while Alesi seems to have found the right vehicle for the rain. Panis repeating his drive of last year, chasing Fisichella, Jordan versus Frost, Goodyear versus Bridgestone. Schumacher in a class of his own, making his way to the Ferrari pit for a fresh set of tyres. His crew with the benefit of some extra time. Barrichello some 23 seconds behind and yet to stop. Panis finally dives past Fisichella for third. Barrichello makes his stop. His crew getting him back out, still in second. Irvine takes third during the stops, while Frentzen completes the Williams day against the barrier. The race today, though, has been all about Michael Schumacher. Prost driver Olivier Panis demonstrating the control required. Saint-Devote clearly very slippery as Schumacher goes straight on, the luxury of a 30-second lead allowing him to rejoin without drama. His crew obviously unconcerned, the excitement too much for some. Mikasalo's Tyrrell goes on to complete the race without coming into the pits. And Michael Schumacher takes the checkered flag to win a very damp Monaco Grand Prix. Ferrari's joy nothing compared to that in the Stewart camp as Barrichello finishes second.
I can't tell you how happy I am.
But it's Ferrari's day as Irvine completes the top three while his teammate takes the applause of the crowd.
I had a good free run from the beginning on, choose the right tyre, the right setup, the right strategy, everything went just perfect.
A superb victory for Michael Schumacher, with an equally superb second for Rubens Barrichello. Eddie Irvine third yet again, which leaves the drivers' table looking like this. Michael heads Villeneuve by just 4 points, with the Canadian 6 ahead of Eddie Irvine. Coulthard still to add to his 10 points after 5 rounds. Ferrari keep the narrowest of leads over Williams in the constructors' table after the British team dropped the ball somewhat with their tyre choice in the rain of Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo has become a matter of concern for the Williams team, not having won there since Rosberg's victory in 1983. And Damon Hill's engine failure last year fresh in their minds. Ferrari's recent testing has slowly reaped rewards, Michael Schumacher trying hard to sort out the car's problems. Well suited to the tight Monaco circuit, the car needs to find a balance between downforce and speed.
This is a very high downforce circuit where absolute aerodynamic efficiency isn't too important for the amount of downforce we can generate. Well, if we look at Monza in here, we're probably generating another 40-50% more downforce here than we're generating in Monza.
Monte Carlo's weather, as unpredictable as ever in recent years, caused problems in car setup for all the teams. Williams' interpretation of the weather forecast led them towards slicks and a drying track. Whereas McLaren hedged their bets, with slicks for Häkkinen and intermediates for Coulthard, whose race ended because of a lack of grip, inadvertently removing his teammate as the field swerved to avoid the stricken Scot. Schumacher had the luxury of 2 cars to choose from, one set up for dry weather, the other to more of a compromise shod with intermediate tyres. Deciding to use the latter car just before the start of the race, an inspired decision that paid dividends when the race got underway, allowing him to use his uncanny wet weather control to pull out an immediate and unassailable lead of an astounding 6 seconds after 1 lap, extending to over 15 seconds by lap 3 and a phenomenal 22 seconds at the end of lap 5. Villeneuve, unable to catch him, finally hit the barriers, damaging a rear control arm while being lapped by Michael Schumacher. While teammate Heinz-Harald Frentzen struggled with a car set up for dry conditions on wet tyres, striking the barrier considerably harder and retiring. Michael Schumacher showed incredible concentration in the later stages after locking a wheel in Saint-Devote. Rather than forcing the car through, he makes a quick decision and allows the car to run on, rejoining without losing his first position. Larini's inability to get his Sauber up to speed sees the Italian seat taken by fellow countryman Morbidelli. While incomplete modification to Estoril circuit prevents it from holding the last race of the season, the venue is switching to Jerez in Spain. Round 6 and to Barcelona. Tyres are the major talking point on this notoriously abrasive circuit. High temperatures make tyre choice critical. Berger's car unwilling to join in on the warm-up lap as the field head round this Barcelona circuit ready for the start. Toward the front of the grid, Ralf Schumacher, arms waving, has a problem. The flashing amber lights indicating a delayed start.
There's some confusion because people think it was Ralf. The only problem was it was Häkkinen's engine went and he saw his hand wave, he made the wave.
Presenting Berger with another chance. Frentzen slow from the start, both Alesi and now Schumacher driving past into the first corner. Schumacher gaining another place at the expense of Alesi in a superb manoeuvre. His team obviously delighted. Schumacher chases Villeneuve with Coulthard still in touch. Alesi, Häkkinen and Frentzen making up the top six. Peter Sauber's driver Morbidelli penalised 10 seconds for a jump start. Villeneuve extending his lead. Coulthard attempting to snatch second. Michael resisting the move and holding position. Frentzen now under pressure from Johnny Herbert's Sauber. Coulthard completing his move on lap 13. McLaren's Ron Dennis allowing himself a small smile. Schumacher now under attack from Alesi, the German, with possible tyre trouble. Coulthard first in, his tyres looking very much the worse for wear. Schumacher in as well. Villeneuve over 20 seconds ahead of second place Jean Alesi. A short day for Hill out in front of his old team and Patrick Head in the points for one lap, now disappointment. Villeneuve in for his first stop. Rejoining behind new race leader Alesi, who has yet to stop. His crew ready for the French Sicilian. .8 seconds. Jean probably on a two-stop strategy for the race. Panis in as well, a longer stop, but still in touch with the top three. Häkkinen pushing very hard ahead of Alesi and Schumacher. Alesi looking for a way past the Finn. Which he does. Followed through by Schumacher. The track visibly warming, Coulthard driving through a heat haze towards the pits. His tyres obviously showing the signs of overheating and blistering. Michael Schumacher calls in as well. Another superb piece of Ferrari work, just 6 seconds. Tyre trouble for Salo.
I saw them blister and I was in trouble a couple laps before, and I thought I can keep it up a few more laps, but then it just exploded on the straight.
Salo was on the softer Goodyears, Panis on harder Bridgestones, catching Coulthard. The Prost team spurring him on, depriving Coulthard of third with apparent ease. Olivier's next target, Alesi, now over 14 seconds behind Villeneuve. Alesi in for his last stop, which needs to be a quick one with Panis closing in. 8.2 seconds, Panis is in as well. Just 7.6 seconds with only 19 laps left. Villeneuve's last stop, 8 seconds. The expression of the Williams crew calm, their man looking set to come home first. Schumacher's Ferrari taking the lead with one more stop to make. Only 6.8 seconds, dropping him down to fourth behind the Benetton of Jean Alesi. Frentzen's season of suffering continues, the German in a lowly 9th spot. Panis cutting into Villeneuve's lead, while Ralf Schumacher's Jordan calls it a day. Technical director Gary Anderson feeling the strain. The remarkable Panis attempting to lap Eddie Irvine. While Jean Alesi suggests the marshals blue flag Irvine. Irvine is forced to let Panis through. Receiving a 10-second penalty for his trouble. Panis still chasing the Williams of Villeneuve as his team and wife watch. It's feasible that Villeneuve has eased to conserve tyres. Another 10 points for Villeneuve, with Panis again on the podium, just ahead of Alesi.
in the middle of the race when the heat picked up, then it was very difficult. But being in the front and having Michael second blocking everybody else gave us a good help.
Villeneuve pocketing 10 valuable points, with Panis an excellent second and a lazy on the bottom step of the podium changes the look of the Drivers' Championship. Jacques now heads Schumacher by just 3 points, with Panis moving up into third after that stunning second place. In the Constructors' Championship, Ferrari lead with 41 points, Williams with 1 behind on 40, McLaren in third place with 21. Ferrari continued to struggle with lack of front-end grip in Spain.
Imola Monte Carlo was a good circuit for us, and for some reason this isn't. It's a balance issue which is not too good. For short corners it works because you can overplay the problems, but if you have long corners where you really need the balance from the entry to the exit, then we struggle.
However, no problems encountered at Williams.
In the high speed, the aerodynamic is very important. Not only is it important for a quick lap time, it's if you have a bad balance in those high speed corners, you just completely destroy your tires.
That's what I'm hoping for, rain. But I don't think it's going to come.
The rain did come, but failed to stay. The abrasive nature of the Barcelona circuit wasn't helped by a clean surface and high race afternoon temperatures. Goodyear's front runners were forced to look after their tyres for the duration of the race. Some, like Ferrari, suffering blistering as the oils in the tyre overheated. The better handling Williams allowed the team to maintain a more limited tyre wear. A point not missed by one Michael Schumacher. Villeneuve's win had been under threat in the closing stages by the hard-charging Olivier Panis. Held up in his charge by Eddie Irvine's Ferrari, who was handed a 10-second penalty for blocking. Had Panis had a clear run at Villeneuve, it seems quite likely that the likeable Frenchman might have won his second career Grand Prix. Complications after sinus surgery will keep Gerhard Berger out of Benetton for Canada, his place being taken by fellow Austrian Alex Wirtz. Jacques Villeneuve is concerned about new regulations in '98.
Don't destroy what racing is all about. I want to go fast, I want to be on the edge and get a lot of excitement out of it, and that's how it should remain.
Our job is to see that he goes as fast as he possibly can without taking undue risks.
Round 7, Canada. Michael Schumacher's Ferrari on pole position and a good luck kiss for Villeneuve, who occupies second spot. While an extraordinary performance puts Brazilian Rubens Barrichello on third. Charlie Whiting checks the field. The lights go out and the Canadian Grand Prix is on. Schumacher leaving Villeneuve trailing into the first corner, Frank Williams looking pensive. Alesi trying to outbrake Fisichella, but the Jordan driver having none of it. Irvine squeezing Panis, who strikes the back of Häkkinen. As Herbert and Magnussen squeeze through, Irvine left high and dry. All under the scrutiny of the FIA delegate. Schumacher leads Villeneuve, Fisichella and Alesi. Magnussen out on lap 1. The top 6, Schumacher, Villeneuve, Fisichella, Alesi, Coulthard and Frentzen. Mika Häkkinen's day already over. The spectators and the Williams crew have seen something. It's the Williams of Villeneuve. The replay showing a fast entry and straight into the wall.
That was a beginner's mistake, I guess, and that's why it's very annoying, mostly on the second lap. But just went into the corner a bit too fast.
Honesty and disappointment for Jacques. Giancarlo Fisichella up into second. Katayama looking for somewhere to park. The safety car out while the Minardi is swept up. The lights are green and the race resumes. Schumacher leads Fisichella, Alesi, Coulthard, Ralf Schumacher and Frentzen. Both Ralf Schumacher and Frentzen already with tyre problems. The Williams pit all ready for the German. A good stop, no fuel this time, Frentzen stationary for 7.4 seconds. Verstappen and Barrichello side by side, the Tyrrell driver faced with a long outside line. Braking late, using all the road and a bit more. Ralf Schumacher very hard into the tyre barrier.
Well, just at the end of the straight, my tyre exploded, so I went right into the barrier, so I was lucky that I wasn't hurt.
Ralf, the only Schumacher with problems. Salo demotes Barrichello a place, Rubens with his own problems. Herbert through as well. Coulthard harrying Jean Alesi. Irvine a spectator after the first lap. Alesi trying very hard, his tyres look very second-hand, unable to catch Fisichella as they pit on the same lap. Both crews working well under pressure. Alesi out of the pits first, Fisichella not far behind. A fine performance by Wirtz into the pit, a superb drive on his debut. Confirmation of Schumacher's appointment, which he's in a hurry to keep. David Coulthard pushing on, his own stop very soon. The Alesi-Fisichella fight goes on, Giancarlo eager to regain third. Wirtz retires from his fine drive. Coulthard in late, giving Schumacher the lead. A long stop, nearly 11 seconds. Schumacher in 4 laps later, allowing Coulthard through. The Ferrari team is second quicker. Michael's tyres well past their sell-by date. Fisichella, his last stop. His tyres as good as new. Coulthard with 13 seconds on Schumacher. Alesi's last stop, his tyres also badly marked. Panis unlapping himself just outside the points. Schumacher obviously slowing for the pits. McLaren ready for David Coulthard, cautiously into the pits, nursing a badly blistered tyre. Coulthard has stalled. Maybe the McLaren is stuck in gear. The engine is running again, but stalls as soon as the clutch is released. Poor David.
When Michael pitted for tyres, we just took a precautionary stop. We didn't need to stop. It goes against you sometimes.
Panis has struck the barrier. The right-hand rear wheel had a problem, turning the car into the wall. Olivier hard on the brakes, burying the nose into the tyre barrier. The medical car is dispatched quickly along with a safety car, the news being that Panis has sustained 2 broken legs. With over 2/3 distance covered, the race is stopped, so Schumacher wins.
We've always had the same problem. It would have been the case or matter who took mostly care of his tyres towards the end.
Michael Schumacher wins with Jean Alesi second and Giancarlo Fisichella third. Heinz-Harald Frentzen, Johnny Herbert and Shinji Nakano make up the top 6. In the Drivers' Championship, Michael Schumacher's on 37 points, Villeneuve on 30 and Panis on 15. In the Constructors' Championships, Ferrari have 51 points ahead of Williams on 43 and Benetton on 23. Michael Schumacher's Canadian points were under threat after a mix-up by the stewards, which allegedly allowed him to use 3 more tyres than his allocation legally permits during a race weekend. As for his victory, it was fortunate. Coulthard, due to stop once, was brought in as a precaution, with dire consequences.
First of all, I didn't get the gear. When I did get the gear, when I switched over in the paddles, it stalled the engine. Then we had a problem restarting twice. And then ultimately, once everything cooled down, we got going, but we're 7th place.
Villeneuve's race was terminated by an unforced error, putting Jacques into the wall. From his onboard camera, the unavoidable appointment with the wall is slow, but enough to damage the Williams front wing and suspension, much to Jacques' annoyance. Would a change in hair colour lead to a change in fortune? The absence of Olivier Panis will be filled by up-and-coming Italian Jarno Trulli, released from his Minardi contract. where Tasso Marquez will step in. Gianni Morbidelli's broken arm, received in a testing accident, puts him out of the Sauber team, allowing Norberto Fontana a chance to race. Alex Wurz will continue for Benetton after his fine showing and Berger's prolonged recovery from his sinus problems. Round 8, France. All eyes skyward as rain threatens. Irvine is confident.
And the thing is, I think I'll still be quick.
Last-minute adjustments or an inspired setup guess could make all the difference. Michael Schumacher on pole, Frentzen second, and Ralf Schumacher makes it an all-German front row. Frentzen slow off the line as the lights change, allowing Jacques Villeneuve a look at second, while Irvine pips Ralf Schumacher into the first corner. Ferrari 1 and 3 into the first lap. Damon Hill's race start not pleasing the boss. A lazy squeeze down to 9th by Jarno Trulli, in to replace the injured Olivier Panis, and doing a fine job. Jos Verstappen in trouble.
I went full on the throttle and came off the brake, and then the engine was still fully open, so it pushed me straight into the barrier. I must say I was very lucky because I hurt my big toe a little bit.
Hakkinen not having the best season for reliability. Schumacher in for the first time. Promoting Frentzen to first in front of Irvine just before his own stop. The Williams crew looking for a quick stop. Irvine's arrival blocking Frentzen. Villeneuve's crew with no time for the cameras, wasting none in the pit stop. Villeneuve out as Ralf Schumacher comes in. Ferrari prospects better than the weathers. Michael setting the fastest lap of the race so far. Frentzen, one eye on the Sauber, the other on those clouds. Frank Williams studious as ever in the garage. Substitute Wurz again just outside the points. Irvine comes in from third, keeping to slicks, just a few spots of rain. Schumacher's view of what might be to come. Just a glimpse of blue above the pits. Schumacher's second and last stop, keeping to slicks as well. Out just behind Frentzen, who is due to stop in the next few laps. On cue and right on his marks, the German rejoins behind the leading Ferrari. Although some 21 seconds behind. The top 6, Schumacher, Frentzen, Villeneuve, Irvine, Ralf Schumacher and Coulthard. Villeneuve's last pit stop, a switch to intermediate tyres. Perfect timing, it seems. Ralf Schumacher slicks, not finding much grip. A lazy finding more grip than Salo and Ralf Schumacher. That flag indicating reduced grip. Diniz using his own method to prove the point. Even the Rainmeister, Michael Schumacher, struggling, but without too much drama. Someone has radioed the Williams pit. The crew prepared for a stop. Though that looks like a false alarm. Irvine, with 5 laps remaining, comes in to change onto intermediates. Villeneuve in, setting up a showdown, exiting the pits nearly nose to tail. Ralf Schumacher making it a bit easier for Jacques, who now needs to pass Coulthard. Mission accomplished for the Canadian, followed through by Schumacher, who promptly falls off, letting Coulthard, Lazy and Fisichella through. Michael Schumacher allowing his brother through to complete another lap and the chance of a points finish. Good thinking, Michael. Elation in the Ferrari pit. Frentzen second, while a Lazy trying for 5th nudges Coulthard off.
I didn't change my line, I was on the one line going into the airplane and he just ran into the back of me and knocked me off.
Not a popular move as Irvine rejoins the track, giving Villeneuve a sniff of 3rd place, but braking in these conditions. Recovering well to sneak in front of a Lazy, claiming 4th. But the weekend belongs to Ferrari with 2 podium positions.
Pole and victory, that's the best you can do, and the way we have done, no mistakes, neither in setup nor in strategy, so it's just a perfect way of winning the race.
Michael Schumacher wins, Heinz-Harald Frentzen second, and Eddie Irvine makes it a 1-3 for Ferrari. Olivier Panis is making progress after his Canadian Grand Prix crash, returning to France and beginning a regime of physiotherapy.
I stay here for 2 months I think, but after it's okay for to return in Formula 1.
Jordan have announced the team will be switching to Mugen Honda for 98.
The contract will be for 2 years minimum. We are going to do some very exciting things with Mugen Honda.
Media attention circulates around Arrow's boss Tom Walkinshaw, announcing that Damon Hill lacks motivation.
Well, I think you're just making up stories as a public road, because it isn't a public road, and it was made quite clear yesterday. And there's no question of Damon not driving for us.
Round 10, Germany. And the clouds gather yet again for another Grand Prix. This season's most popular pastime becoming getting the setup. The forecast for race day, overcast but dry. Possibly. Gerhard Berger back in the Benetton. Fisichella with a lucky mascot. Mika Häkkinen hoping his luck will change after Silverstone. Berger starts from a brilliant pole position ahead of Fisichella, Häkkinen and Schumacher. Schumacher makes a terrific start, as does Irvine. Häkkinen down to 4th. Villeneuve past Frentzen and Irvine, who seem to touch. Marquez already a retirement. Coulthard spinning in front of the field. Frentzen and Irvine in trouble, possibly from that earlier incident. Berger pulling out a gap over Fisichella, Schumacher and Häkkinen. Heinz-Harald and Eddie Irvine into the pits. The Williams and the Ferrari out of the race. Marquez, Frentzen, Coulthard and Irvine out after 1 lap.
I just felt a clip on the rears. I went round the first corner and then went down the straight and the tyre deflated, that was it.
Berger back on top, 12 seconds between him and 6th place. Hill's fortunes have changed, passing Herbert Sauber. Berger with a huge lead over Fisichella. Diniz nudges Herbert out of the race. Johnny cooling down, very disappointed. Schumacher closing in on Fisichella. As Benetton prepare for the leader's first stop. Berger right on the marks. Fisichella now leading Mika Häkkinen. Gerhard Berger bearing down on him and through. Only 10 seconds between first and third. Häkkinen and Villeneuve in for their first stops. McLaren just quicker than Williams. Fisichella just ahead of Schumacher, who pits. The Jordan soon to follow. Schumacher Senior out, Junior in. Fisichella forced to stay out a little longer. Fisichella into the Jordan pit. Giancarlo back in the race in second. Gerhard Berger in front and very much in control. Jean Alesi finding an alternative route. His tyres must surely be well past their best. Magnussen's engine failing on lap 27. Alesi in his last stop, dropping back to 8th. Berger tightening his grip with over 18 seconds on Fisichella. Michael Schumacher a distant third. Villeneuve spins out, attempting to retake Jarno Trulli. Berger answers the call of his pit. A controlled stop. back on track behind the new leader Fisichella, due for his last stop very soon. Villeneuve's attempts clearly went very wrong. Gerhard quickly back into the lead. Fisichella's rear tyre has let go. It's a long way to his pit. The home crowd happy as a fortunate Schumacher moves up into second. Fisichella struggling. Into the pits, but just look at that rear tyre. A determined effort from the Italian. Michael Schumacher's final pit stop. Gary Anderson has seen something. Fisichella out after a gritty performance. Berger, just 4 laps remaining, leads Schumacher. Hakkinen third, with Jarno Trulli in an excellent fourth. A fantastic return for Berger and a magnificent display from the Austrian. The Benetton crew cheering him home. Schumacher second, scoring valuable points. Fisichella hitches a lift from Michael Schumacher. But it's Berger's day.
Giancarlo made a mistake in the second chicane, and I could overtake him straight away. And yeah, it just works. Everything works together.
Gerhard Berger scoring a maximum 10 points on his comeback. But it's Schumacher's second that will have most bearing on the championship. Hakkinen in a well-deserved third. The services of Giancarlo Fisichella are under dispute as Flavio Briatore announces the Italian will drive for Benetton in 1998. Less controversial is the announcement that Eddie Irvine is to stay on as Ferrari number 2. Michael Schumacher has been under fire, landing himself a $5,000 fine for pit lane speeding during practice and a reprimand for picking up Fisichella. Round 11, Hungary. Round 12, Belgium. The spectre of rain hangs over yet another race. This time, no one needs to guess on setup. It's clearly wet. The warning flag's superfluous. Some extra exercise for Ralf Schumacher in the rush to get back to the pits in time. Michael Schumacher's reconnaissance lap finding a few damp spots. Villeneuve on pole position, Alesi with a choice of tyre and helmet second, and Schumacher's Ferrari third. The rain has stopped, but the conditions such that the race will start behind the pace car. The track beginning to dry as the field set off. Ralf Schumacher in his spare car from the pit lane. A breakdown in communication at Prost, unaware the race was to start behind the pace car. Truly anxious to leave the garage. Joining the field as it completes the first lap. Not the best start to a Grand Prix. The pace car pulls into the pits as the race proper starts. Visibility appalling in the spray. Schumacher already on the move, confirming his reputation as one of the best in these sorts of conditions. His old boss bemused by his progress. Villeneuve also caught out by the German's extra speed in the wet. Fisichella drives around the outside of Alesi. Eddie Jordan happy with those pictures. Villeneuve in for a switch to intermediate tyres. Alesi's crew waiting with slicks. Jean, one of the few drivers who might pull the gamble off. Still very wet indeed. Pedro Diniz embarrassing Frentzen with the grip of his Bridgestone tyres. Herbert also taking his Sauber through. Hill repeats the feat, the Stewart taking a look as well. Frentzen forced to change tyres, opting for dry weather slicks. The track drier than the pit lane. Schumacher on the intermediates he started with, an inspired choice. Fisichella nearly 35 seconds behind. Hakkinen reeling him in. The Jordan team ready for the Italian, another driver ready to risk slicks as the track dries. Hill comes in, almost colliding with Fisichella. Diniz staying in front of Coulthard, whose rear tyres look finished. Herbert taking the opportunity to move up another place. Häkkänen's lack of grip sending him across the grass. Villeneuve switching to slicks, a mechanic struggling to remove the gurney flap from the rear wing to reduce the downforce. Mission accomplished. Michael Schumacher over 45 seconds ahead of Häkkinen. Alesi going the long way around Fisichella at La Source. Just managing to get the grip to move ahead. Häkkinen into the pit, onto slick tyres. Michael Schumacher must change soon. The German pouncing on Katayama and Trulli involved in their own battle. Michael pits for slick tyres and enough fuel to finish the race. Frentzen looking to get past Coulthard. Keeping the dry line, the Scot on the wet part of the track. These conditions playing into Michael Schumacher's hands. Marquez with a superb view of the German style, but out of Minardi's 200th Grand Prix. Coulthard's out.
When I came in, moved to the slicks, I was struggling a little bit, and then obviously made a mistake.
Frentzen's charge a little late as he sets about Johnny Herbert. Johnny taking a quick look but thinking better of it. Alesi nearly 40 seconds behind, settling for a safe second. Ralf Schumacher continuing his affinity with the Spa Armco.
I tried it very hard. I mean, I had nothing to lose, and at the end I lost it.
Schumacher pragmatic about it all. Alesi makes his last visit to the pit. Fisichella back into second. Over 53 seconds behind Schumacher. Michael's team with the luxury of time making certain of his last stop. Häkkinen fast into the pits for the last time. Still in touch with the leaders. Fisichella's last stop 7 seconds, keeping him in the top 3. Alesi's visit ensuring the Jordan driver of second. Schumacher with a huge lead over Fisichella. Villeneuve a late charge in an effort to improve his points. But only if he can get past Alesi. Which he does. Jack setting the fastest lap of the race with 1 lap to go. Schumacher assured of 10 points as he crosses the line, applauded by his crew. A performance to celebrate.
I'd say we took the right decision both for setup and for the tyres, and obviously well into the circuit when it has difficult circumstance, that suits myself quite well, and everything worked together.
The results from Spa showing Michael Schumacher taking 10 very well-deserved points, with both Häkkinen and Fisichella reaping the rewards of outstanding drives. The great Italian driver Luigi Villaresi died on September the 4th at the age of 88. Villaresi, known as Gigi, had a long career spanning both post and pre-war years. Olivier Panis continues his amazing recovery, signing a new contract with the French Prost team. Alain Prost confident in his driver's ability to return to full fitness. Round 13, Italy. Jean Alesi's return to his spiritual home was marked by his second career pole position and this warm-up mishap. Neither his nor the huge Italian crowd's enthusiasm diminished for the race. To be run without the slightest threat of rain. Alesi starts from the front with Frentzen alongside. But it's the Italian drivers and the Ferraris that draw the crowds, but Schumacher's languishing back in 9th. 53 laps of the famous Monza Autodrome to follow. Irvine off to a scorching start. Down toward the first chicane, trailing Alesi, Frentzen with Coulthard making up places. Fisichella's desperate to make the right impression on his home track. Schumacher desperate to pass Häkkinen, using all the road and more. Eddie Jordan keeping away from the monitors. The top 6 are Alesi, Frentzen, Coulthard, Fisichella, Villeneuve and Häkkinen. The Italian crowd happy to cheer Alesi until the Ferraris make their move. An early exit for Deniz. Katayama exiting as his brake explodes. His wheel clearly loose. Coulthard closing on Frentzen. The McLaren definitely the measure of the Williams on this track. Häkkinen gives Villeneuve a hard time. A superb view of Berger on the start-finish straight. The pit crew's intent waiting. The Williams team preparing for Villeneuve. Alesi under pressure from Frentzen and Coulthard. The Scot looking comfortable in third, closer than that time would suggest. These three with a slight gap to Fisichella. Villeneuve locks his wheels, very nearly overshooting his marks. The right-hand front giving problems. Longer than Jack would have liked. Frank Williams and Patrick Head being kept in the picture. Frentzen's stop. Quicker than Villeneuve's, but still dropping the German to 8th position. Alesi out in front, yet to stop. Coulthard looking very ominous behind. David really pushing very hard. Fisichella on his way into the pits. A good stop could put the Italian on the podium again. 9 seconds, relatively slow in F1 terms. Giancarlo down to 9th. Coulthard still with Alesi, both due to stop shortly. A test for both pit crews. Coulthard follows Alesi into the pit lane. Alesi first up on the jacks, Coulthard close behind. Quick, efficient work by both teams. Alesi's car touches down, but Coulthard is out first. The McLaren out behind Schumacher, who is due in on this lap. That pit work netting the lead. Maybe next time for Benetton. Häkkinen is being held up on his way to the pits. The McLaren team effecting another quick stop. Just like the movies. Schumacher gives up the lead, the Ferraris off the pace. Coulthard building a cushion between himself and Alesi. Häkkinen has a problem as Michael Schumacher passes him and into the points. Ron Dennis looks concerned. Mika wheels spinning before they touch the ground. Ralf Schumacher getting alongside Herbert towards the first chicane. Ralf drifting across towards the Sauber.
Schumi too was passing me as I was well aware anyway, and then as we came into the braking area he just squeezed me over a bit too much and I just had absolutely no room at all. Pretty high speed to say the least, but yeah, I'm fine.
Schumacher will undoubtedly have his own view. Hill's Yamaha engine unable to keep up the pace on this very fast circuit. Häkkinen's previous difficulty clearly down to tyres. Now he has no problem setting the fastest lap. Coulthard taking the race. Alesi still in touch in second. Frentzen third with Fisichella just missing the podium in fourth. David's girlfriend's happy, and so too is David.
I think today largely was down to the teamwork. As you see, when I was in the pit stop, I got out in front of Jean, so this was a fair and square win, and it's down to the mechanics who did the job today.
David Coulthard tops the podium for 10 points, with the championship contenders struggling. Jacques Villeneuve received a one-race ban, suspended until the 4th race of next season for failing to slow down under a yellow flag in the warm-up session at Monza. Sylvester Stallone, in Italy for the Grand Prix, has announced that he's to make a film based around the world of Formula One.
Very proud to have been invited to participate in Formula One, which I think is the most exciting sport in the world, and hopefully we can do a film that will make everyone extremely proud.
John Alesi is on the move for 1998, signing to drive for the Sauber Petronas team, alongside Briton Johnny Herbert. The name of BMW will be back in Formula One in the year 2000, an announcement by the German company revealing that it's to link up with the Williams team for its return. Mika Häkkinen has been disqualified from the Belgian Grand Prix after losing his appeal with the FIA regarding fuel irregularities. The dispute over where Giancarlo Fisichella will be driving in 1998 was settled in court in favour of Benetton. Round 14 and the mountains of Austria. The Austrian Grand Prix returns to the calendar, giving Gerhard Berger the chance to race on home soil. Tremendous efforts by Barrichello and Trulli, who spun off during the warm-up, having qualified 5th and 3rd respectively. Jarno taking all the advice he can from the professor. Häkkinen next to Jacques Villeneuve on the front row, Villeneuve needing to score maximum points to stay in the championship chase. The Ferrari struggling in qualifying, both are on the 4th row. Berger in with a problem, the pit crew wave him back out. Now having to start from the pit. Trulli gets a good start, as does Häkkinen. Coulthard getting a real flyer down the inside. Into the first corner, Häkkinen, Trulli coming through, with Schumacher trying to make up places along the outside. Tucking in behind Heinz-Harald Frentzen. Berger away from the pit lane. Barrichello putting a move on Villeneuve around the outside. Switching to the inside on the exit. Häkkinen leads Trulli and Barrichello, edging past Villeneuve. Häkkinen's luck and engine gone after one lap.
This is motor racing. I had a technical problem with the engine and not able to continue.
Mika phlegmatic as ever. Trulli leads fellow Bridgestone runner Barrichello. Villeneuve 3rd with Magnussen up to 4th. Schumacher in 6th. Barrichello unable to shake off Villeneuve, who is perfectly placed under braking. The Canadian up into 2nd. Schumacher close to the back of Frentzen's Williams. Magnussen pits. The Stewart team as rehearsed as anyone in the pit lane. Barrichello in for his stop. 8.4 seconds, not bad for a new team. Trulli leads Villeneuve, who is trying very hard. The fastest lap of the race at half distance. The Prost team swarm over Trulli's car. A one-stop race for the Italian. Villeneuve out on his own. Alesi flying over Irvine's car.
I'm extremely upset because he tried to overtake me from the outside and suddenly my car fly up.
Schumacher overtakes Frentzen under a yellow flag. Villeneuve in for his one stop. A good time considering the amount of fuel. Jacques out in front of Trulli and Ralf Schumacher. Schumacher's Ferrari in. Carbon dust from the brakes. Frentzen also in a few yards behind. The Williams stop taking a little longer. Coulthard in from first. Stationary for just 8.5 seconds. Villeneuve's brakes glowing. Fisichella right in Trulli's exhaust. Through into 2nd. Fisichella, one of the last on a one-stop strategy to call in at the pits. And back out in 8th place. Ross Brawn has noticed something on the Ferrari monitor. Michael paying the penalty for his earlier yellow flag infringement. 10 seemingly long seconds. Barrichello completes his last stop, leaving the pits in front of Schumacher. Villeneuve with 7 seconds on Trulli. Coulthard signalling frantically. His helmet smeared with oil as Trulli's Mugen engine expires. Magnussen finishing work for the day. Jackie still with one car in the race. Coulthard keeping in touch with Villeneuve, only 4.5 seconds behind. McLaren guest Michael Douglas looking anxious. Schumacher closing down on Barrichello, causing him to run wide and into the gravel trap. Paul Stewart's face showing his disappointment. Hill caught napping by Schumacher, going down to 7th. Villeneuve takes the flag and the 10 points. Coulthard in second ahead of Heinz-Harald Frentzen.
It's a good way to go into Nürburgring, mostly after winning here. I think we should have a stronger package, so I'm very confident for...
In Austria, Eddie Jordan was showing off his new driver lineup for 1998, the Irishman signing world champion Damon Hill.
Not alone have we gained the current world champion, but a lead guitarist, which actually is very important to me.
Mika Salo announced his departure from Tyrrell and will replace Hill at the Arrows team in 98. And Alex Wurz will become a full-time Benetton driver next year. Round 15, Luxembourg. Birthday boy Mika Häkkinen's wish must be for that elusive first win, having taken pole position in qualifying and been the fastest man on the track in warm-up. Sharing the front row with Villeneuve, back in contention for the world crown. While Frentzen looks to collect some points of his own. Michael Schumacher needs a good result from a poor grid position. Coulthard lighting up his rear tyres as the field streams down to the first corner. Häkkinen safe in first, teammate Coulthard alongside Villeneuve. Michael Schumacher trying to keep out of trouble on the outside, but brother Ralph going airborne over the Ferrari, with Fisichella and the Minardi also in the gravel. Häkkinen first from Coulthard, Villeneuve, Barrichello, Alesi and Magnussen. Schumacher down in 10th position, Frentzen back in 13th. Schumacher's Ferrari in all sorts of trouble. The suspension arm slightly bent enough to end Michael's race, the damage altering the suspension geometry. Michael not a happy man. As one door opens, another slams shut. Häkkinen from Coulthard. Berger squeezing past Frentzen into 10th place, but Frentzen straight back through, forcing his way inside Irvine's Ferrari. Both drifting out wide, leaving the canny Berger enough room to take advantage. Frentzen forces his way past a recovered Olivier Panis to chase Berger. Häkkinen seems to have laid his demons to rest today, a commanding performance. Frentzen closing on Deniz, moving up to 8th place after a disastrous start. Irvine's out after 22 laps. John Todt back to the garage to start the post-mortem on a bad weekend. McLaren preparing for Häkkinen. Anything under 7 seconds should put him in second. Villeneuve in for his first stop, without losing a place. Coulthard sliding a little. His stop quick enough for second behind Häkkinen, who is 12 seconds ahead. Frentzen setting the fastest lap. Hill putting in another tremendous drive in the points. Hill stopping once, but stalling the engine. He's furious. A shared sentiment. Barrichello pits. A long stop taking fuel to last the distance. Diniz pits the second arrows. Magnussen in. A textbook getaway by Diniz. As Magnussen drops his clutch, worrying signs from the back of his car. Hakkinen leads Coulthard by over 12 seconds. Magnussen out of the race, a broken drive shaft. Coulthard is stopping in front of the pits. Mercedes boss Norbert Haug sees Hakkinen stopping as well.
Everything looked fine. Both suffered probably similar failures. Just have to be professional at times like this.
Barrichello parks his Stewart. Jackie and Paul Stewart needing better reliability from their car. Villeneuve promoted to first place. Mika still raising a wry grin for boss Ron Dennis. Williams limber up for Frentzen. A good stop will put the German on the podium for sure. 9 seconds could be enough. Villeneuve in for his last stop. 7.5 seconds, enough to retain the lead. Panis and Diniz fighting for 5th place. Villeneuve bagging 10 valuable points towards the championship. Alesi very happy with second. Frentzen completing the top 3. But what if the McLarens had gone the distance?
I wasn't happy to be third, but I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't have caught them, so I would have had to settle for third. It would have been, okay for the championship, but this is definitely better.
Jacques Villeneuve adds another 10 points to his total with his Austrian win. Alesi scoring yet another second, with Frentzen finishing third for the second race running. Schumacher's retirement and Villeneuve's win changed the championship table, putting Jacques in the driving seat 9 points ahead of Michael, who has nearly twice as many as third-placed Frentzen. The consistent placings of the Williams pair in the last few races putting them firmly at the head in the Constructors' Championship, with just 2 races left. Michael Schumacher's championship hopes took a knock from brother Ralph at the Nürburgring. In the dash down to the first corner, Ralph and his teammate collide, pushing him over brother Michael. With the action slowed down, the back wheel of Ralph's car passes frighteningly close to Michael's head before sending both cars into the gravel. Michael's chance of another world title as dented as his suspension. The Ferrari driver's Austrian race also had its downside, the German picking up a 10-second stop-go penalty, resulting in an exclusion from the podium and the points that went with it. Jacques Villeneuve grasped the opportunity to close the gap at the top by taking full advantage of the McLaren's plight, handing him at least one unexpected win and depriving Hakkinen of that elusive maiden victory.
I had a little bit sign from the engine. It's starting to get weak and didn't help too much to slow down.
Williams and Villeneuve seem to have regained some of their composure after a difficult mid-season. Villeneuve exploiting his talents, the improved grip of the Williams and the strategy of engineer Jock Clear.
Jack was under no illusions about what he had to do in the race. As soon as he saw Hakkinen was quick and obviously Coulthard ahead of him, there was no point in getting into any melee with those two and falling out. So just have to see how the race panned out, and obviously it panned out perfectly.
Michael Schumacher's qualifying disappointments haven't been helped by the handling difficulties of the Ferrari 310B. The car's tendency to understeer and a new lightweight chassis have created as many problems as they've solved.
I think we just had a couple of bad races which coincided with a lightweight chassis, and Michael became a little unsure whether there was a problem or not.
The Luxembourg race was Michael Schumacher's 100th Grand Prix, celebrated with an enormous chocolate cake. Flavio Briatore has now left the Benetton team, new team chief Dave Richards assuming command, Flavio's future uncertain. Round 16, the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka. Schumacher versus Villeneuve, 2 races left. Schumacher positive but needing a win to stand any chance in the last race. Villeneuve under threat of losing his points from this race after an incident in qualifying. But he still starts from pole. Michael Schumacher behind him in second, and with his teammate Eddie Irvine in third, can Michael expect any help?
No, we're just going to go into the race and see what happens.
The lights go out, Villeneuve snatching the lead from Schumacher. Hakkinen taking third, Irvine down in fourth. The whole field snaking up the hill without incident. Jean Todt and Ross Brawn waiting to see if their game plan will reap any rewards. Villeneuve leads from Schumacher, Hakkinen, Irvine, Frentzen and Gerhard Berger. Irvine using his knowledge of the track, driving around the outside of Hakkinen and Schumacher. And on to the tail of Jacques Villeneuve. Using the same move to take the lead. Magnussen beaches his Stewart. Villeneuve attempts to hold up the rest of the field. Barrichello spins out of the race. Paul Stewart unable to contain himself. Irvine pulling out 12 seconds on Villeneuve. Schumacher unable to pass the Williams of Villeneuve. Hakkinen pits from fourth. Irvine following in. Ferrari hoping to get him back out in front of Villeneuve. Jacques staying out, trying to put a gap between himself and Schumacher before his own stop. In comes Schumacher, a master at changing his plan to match the circumstances. On his way in only 7.1 seconds. Villeneuve leads, but yet to stop. A crucial stop to keep him in contention. Leaving the pits as Schumacher bears down on turn one, the German using his momentum to sweep past. Jock Clear is disappointed. Frentzen makes his stop. Stationary for just 8 seconds. Nakano's right rear wheel smoking badly. The Prost taking a shortcut across the gravel. The championship contenders are nose to tail. Closing on Irvine, who is slowed. Glancing in his mirror, he lets Michael pass. Keeping Villeneuve behind. Schumacher pulling away as Irvine slows to hold up Villeneuve. Patrick Head aware that the Ferrari plan is working. Villeneuve into the pits. Another crucial stop for Williams. A long stop. Jacques seeing his chance slipping away. No such problems for Schumacher, as his crew make a last-minute decision to bring in Irvine. Jean Todt giving the crew some practice before Schumacher's stop. Villeneuve down to 7th place and out of the points. Schumacher in for his last stop. He rejoins in second, just 12 seconds behind Frentzen. Villeneuve stuck in traffic. Frentzen's final stop. Heinz-Harald rejoins in front of Irvine, who is unable to repeat his teammate's manoeuvre. Schumacher benefiting from the Ferrari team planning, under the command of Jean Todt. Villeneuve 5th under pressure from Alesi. Hakkinen trying to take 4th from Irvine. 0.7 of a second difference. Frentzen sets fastest lap. The tension all in the Ferrari garage as Schumacher's old adversary Damon Hill, a lap down, holds him up to allow Frentzen to close. Schumacher shows his frustration in Ross Brawn's monitor. But Michael Schumacher wins the Japanese Grand Prix, a real team effort. Eddie Irvine brings his Ferrari home, still scrapping furiously with Mika Häkkinen. Michael's overjoyed with a little help from his friends.
I've said many times that he's a great driver and he's a great teammate, and I really have to thank to him this victory.
Michael Schumacher has done what he needed to in Japan, taking the maximum 10 points to put him one in front of Villeneuve after Villeneuve drops his appeal and loses his 2 Japanese points. Irvine's points being inadequate payment for his part in Michael's win, but still with a part to play in the championship. With Villeneuve likely to remain scoreless, it all goes down to the last race. But both Frentzen and Villeneuve secure the Constructors' Championship for Williams. Ferrari's Japanese performance was enhanced by a new flexible front wing. The main wing section is less stiff than normal, permitting it to bend under load. This allows the undersurface of the wing to get closer to the ground, which in turn makes it work far more efficiently. The wing certainly appeared to improve the front end of the Ferrari as a part of a revised new package.
Quite a good day yesterday with the 2 cars doing different programs, so Michael's been able to use some of the information that Eddie gained for us yesterday. So yeah, just general chassis changes, nothing special.
For Jacques Villeneuve, a weekend of wasted opportunity. Racing under appeal after passing a yellow flag without reducing speed, causing him to lose any points he gained.
Well, the yellow flag was down the straight. Into the corners there was a stationary yellow flag. The wave, the yellow flag was down the straight, and you know, once you're flat down the straight, you can hit the brakes, but there's no point.
Jacques was pragmatic about it, but he was not the only driver at fault.
7 other drivers did the same thing out of the 9 that were on the racetrack at the same time. It's a heavy blow, you know, now that we're fighting like that at the end in the championship.
Suzuka is as good as a home circuit to Eddie Irvine, especially remembered for his duel with Ayrton Senna in his first Grand Prix at the circuit for Jordan, where he surprised the Brazilian by unlapping himself on a wet track. As Ferrari number 2, Eddie knew his job was to help his teammate toward the world title. But in the opening laps, he showed that his knowledge of the track allowed him to exploit grip on the circuit others did not know was there. Taking the lead from Villeneuve around the outside, thwarting the Canadians' delay tactics. Ferrari's teamwork excelled in the pits as well, giving both Schumacher and Irvine the opportunity to carry out a race strategy that would take the championship down to the last race. The plan called for Irvine to get himself between Schumacher and Villeneuve in order to allow the German to try and build enough of a cushion to take the race and 10 points. Irvine picked the place it could be done. All he needed was a signal.
Went pretty much to plan, to be honest, and then I started pulling away and I was just waiting for the phone call.
The Japanese Grand Prix was the last for Ukyo Katayama, who leaves the sport to climb mountains. Ex-Tyrrell driver Nakajima has placed his protégé Takagi with his old team. And Jan Magnussen will keep his seat at Stewart Grand Prix next season. The red herring stories of Berger going to Ferrari have been laid to rest with the Austrian's announcement that he's to stop racing in F1. Minardi will join Tyrrell as customers for Ford V10s for the coming season, Stewart Grand Prix remaining the sole works team. And so to the last race of the year in Jerez, and the one which will decide the whole championship. It could not be closer, with Michael Schumacher only 1 point ahead of Jacques Villeneuve. Williams' decision to drop their appeal means whoever finishes in front will be 1997 world champion. The weekend got off to a bad start for Villeneuve, who felt he'd been unfairly blocked by Ferrari number 2, Eddie Irvine. Jacques felt obliged to let Eddie know what he thought of that action, by calling in on him with a few uninvited guests. Fortunately, none of them with microphones. Throughout qualifying, Williams have been ready to do business. Villeneuve first to post a time of 1 minute 21.072 seconds. Schumacher then matched that time exactly. And with 9 minutes left in the session, Frentzen incredibly set the same time. It amused Frank, William, Jacques and Michael. The end of term photo, but who would come out on top?
Michael to win it.
My favourite is Jacques Villeneuve.
Michael Schumacher.
Villeneuve.
Have a good one.
Schumacher has to finish in front. Frentzen will be expected to help his teammate. The championship to be decided by these last 69 laps. Villeneuve, with too much wheel spin, lets Schumacher slip into the lead. Frentzen unable to do anything but follow him. Hakkinen up into fourth with Damon Hill behind, who is immediately passed by Coulthard as well. Schumacher leads, Frentzen second, followed by Villeneuve, Hakkinen, Coulthard and Hill. Decision time in the Williams pit. Frentzen will have to give up his second place, which he does, allowing Jacques a shot at Schumacher, who is 4.3 seconds ahead. Ferrari calling Schumacher in. These stops the most important of the year with absolutely no room for error. The Ferrari only at rest for 7.6 seconds. Michael rejoining between the McLarens of Hakkinen and Coulthard. Villeneuve's first stop, the pressure on the Williams crew. Jacques Steyr fixed firmly ahead. Hakkinen behind Frentzen, due for his own stop shortly. McLaren, one of the best pit stop crews in F1. Mika losing only one position. Villeneuve right behind Schumacher, prepared to take a look. The German resisting the move. Frentzen's turn into the pits. A very quick 7.2 second stop. Schumacher back into the pits, giving Villeneuve the lead, but he still has to stop. No problems for the Italian team. Michael exiting the pits in a crescendo of revs ahead of the two McLarens. This then probably the Williams pit stop of the year. Villeneuve in, his mechanics working at a controlled pace. Schumacher passing the stationary Canadian, who dumps the clutch to rejoin the battle. Coulthard passing using the inside line as Jacques warms his tyres. The clock says 2 seconds, but it looks a lot less than that. Coulthard in and Villeneuve through. The story of the race though, Schumacher versus Villeneuve for the World Championship. Jacques very quick up into the braking zone as Schumacher turns in and makes contact with the Williams. But Villeneuve is able to continue towards the flag and the championship. Schumacher stranded in the gravel, Ferrari's hopes stranded with him. Hill's last race for Arrows all over. Villeneuve's car looking only slightly shop-soiled. Schumacher not giving interviews yet, suffering his second collision of the day. Villeneuve slowing a little, making sure that he can finish. The McLaren's reeling him in. Hakkinen slipping by Coulthard. Someone who's in the know. Irvine upholding Ferrari honours, fighting Berger for fourth spot, but failing to hold on to it. Hakkinen passing Villeneuve with Coulthard behind him. Jacques taken a bit by surprise, playing it safe and letting both McLarens through. He only needs to finish to take the title. Villeneuve takes the 1997 championship as Hakkinen wins his first Grand Prix. Coulthard completing a McLaren 1-2. Alain Prost giving Jacques the thumbs up in the pit lane. Jacques Villeneuve, 1997 Formula 1 World Champion. Celebrations for Williams, Villeneuve and Mika Hakkinen.
Pretty unbelievable. I think the whole race was interesting from start to finish. I would say it was, from my side, it was fantastic.
In just his second year in Formula 1, Jacques Villeneuve takes the crown. Häkkinen's long overdue first win nets him 10 points, with Coulthard capping a fine McLaren 1-2, with Villeneuve scoring enough points to secure his first World Championship. The final standings for 1997. Jacques Villeneuve, World Champion on 81 points. Michael Schumacher was second, though subsequently he was excluded from the results of the F1 Championship. Frentzen redeeming his season next up ahead of David Coulthard and Alesi, both on 36. Berger and Häkkinen both tie on 27, followed by Irvine on 24. Fisichella had 20, Panis 16, Herbert 15, Ralf Schumacher 13, Damon Hill a hard-earned 7, Barrichello on 6, Wirtz a superb 4, with Trulli, Salo, Nakano, Diniz and Larini all in the points. The constructors' table confirms Williams' position 20 points clear of Ferrari, with Benetton a long way behind in third. The surprise of qualifying was without doubt that the first 3 drivers set the same time, only separated by the order in which they set their times. Villeneuve and Schumacher matching each other on every part of the circuit, something which is difficult to comprehend.
You just wouldn't believe it, would you? Somebody had told you this was going to happen at the last race with the championship being the way it is, you'd have just laughed.
At the start of the race, Schumacher's Ferrari got off to a perfect start, pulling past the wheel-spinning Williams of Villeneuve, who had to let teammate Frentzen by. The race and the championship came down to one event. Schumacher's ill-advised attempt to turn into the same corner as Villeneuve.
The way he hit me was really, really hard. I'm surprised that I could actually finish the race. You know, I couldn't go more on the inside. I was actually on the grass. You know, either Michael had his eyes closed or somehow his hands slid on the steering or something.
The move was universally condemned.
I can't understand it, how Jacques got so close all of a sudden. How Michael left the door open, I don't know. But you know, if it was his problem, then maybe it's justice in a way. You know, as sad as it is.
For the Williams team, the remaining laps were all about whether the car was damaged, the radiator pod having taken quite a hard hit. Jacques himself stating that after the incident his car felt strange, which is why he let both McLarens through, caring only for the title, not the race. The majority of material in this Formula One end-of-season video has come from the new digital pay-per-view television, now at the end of its first full season. There are 6 channels providing all the very latest news and action from the circuit.
Take 5.
Designated directors ensure that each channel provides its own coverage while keeping the viewer in touch with every aspect of the race meeting. It is currently available to German, French, Italian, Austrian, Swiss and Spanish audiences who are able to watch Formula One in a new and unique way with the 6 channels produced in a mobile studio facility travelling to each and every Grand Prix. From the menu page, viewers can choose which aspect of the event to follow with the extra channels, providing yet more comprehensive new coverage. Channel 1 is a mix of 5 channels with the best action, keeping the viewer up to date with what is happening on the track, in the pits and in the paddock. Extensive knowledge of racing ensures that qualifying is fully covered from the fastest to the unexpected, every aspect transmitted on air. When Damon Hill qualified 3rd in Hungary, he was live on Channel 1. Cameras are positioned to give coverage as never before. New technology being utilised to provide new perspectives to motor racing. This unique approach brings news to the viewer sometimes before the teams.
Are you aware that Ralph spun the car out at the back of the circuit?
No, I'm not aware of that. Did he continue?
I don't believe he did continue, no.
Oh, that is a very big disappointment. I wasn't aware of that.
Channel 2 is designed to specifically follow the race leaders, able to cover the action as it happens. Capturing events such as Giancarlo Fisichella's puncture and the failure of Michael Schumacher's wheel bearing. Channel 3, being an extra track channel, follows the excitement further down the field. Digital television allows coverage to encompass the entire field, from front runners to midfield battles. Every instant captured as it happens and its result. The sheer number of cameras allow incidents to be captured from various angles, such as this dramatic incident involving Johnny Herbert at Monza. Channel 4 is exclusively for on-board cameras. From the start lights to Parc Fermé, the race is covered solely from cameras located in interesting and imaginative positions, leading to some quite spectacular results. This channel allows the viewer to see events from a driver's perspective, from angles that reveal much that is hidden to the average television viewer. Channel 5 combines the action and atmosphere of the paddock and the pit lane, plus informative technical appraisals. Even if two drivers pit simultaneously, both stops are still covered. Session highlights are run every 20 minutes and bring only the very best coverage. Also, accidents are edited, broadcast and analysed within seconds of their occurrence. Finally, there are exclusive on-the-spot interviews.
Paul, tell me how you feel right now.
I don't know, I'm obviously very emotional. It's just super. How could we expect to come to Monaco and finish second the first time here? I can't say more than that.
Jackie, how does this compare to your own wins?
Oh, fantastic. I'm so happy. I can't tell you how happy I am. I've never been second in Monaco.
Channel 6 gives unrivaled access to the data behind a Grand Prix. The same information that the teams themselves use. It allows every driver's performance to be monitored, the information being continuously updated on screen. Experience the tension of drivers and their team bosses as orders change in crucial qualifying sessions.